I've always found that anime has an advantage over manga when it comes to connecting with its audience emotionally. How many people have you heard saying that they cried when they watched A Silent Voice? Or how many of you heard talking about how amazing the animation is in Demon Slayer's fight scenes? Anime has lots of tools at its disposal that manga can't use. The beautiful music in films such as Your Name can transport you back to that famous staircase in Tokyo, long after the movie has ended. The voice acting in Clannad can shake your entire being during the heart-crushing scenes that it has become so famous for. Manga, unfortunately, doesn't have these different medias at its disposal to be able to connect with its audience. This means the responsibility rests on the mangaka to make that impact. I feel that at this point in my life, I've read a decent amount of manga, and truly there are some series that I've really enjoyed. But honestly, nothing has been able to connect with me in the same way as some of my favourite anime have. That is, until I read Goodnight Punpun. Punpun was recommended to me by one of you guys in the comments section of a manga haul video I uploaded last year. Written by Ino Asano, Goodnight Punpun follows the life of Punpun Onodera from elementary school through to his adulthood in just under 150 chapters. Before picking up the series, I'd been told that it was fantastic, but it was super depressing. I've got to say that although this definitely is a darker story, it is also able to encapsulate a variety of emotions. I'm going to avoid talking about spoilers as much as I can, so I won't go into too much detail. Punpun is a shy but good-natured kid who has to go through way more than anyone his age should have to deal with. During the first volume, Punpun has to cope with his father and mother's abusive relationship, resulting in the breakdown of his family. As Punpun's life spirals out of control, we see the form in which he takes also altered by the mangaka. The abstract bird, alien design of Punpun enabled me as a reader to place myself in his shoes as he lives out his daily life. The story begins while Punpun is still in elementary school. He's mourning the loss of his crush who's just transferred to another school, but within a few pages we're introduced to Aiko Tanako, a new transfer student joining the class. Punpun is instantly heads over heels in love with Aiko, and she and Punpun begin to blossom a childhood romance. Punpun also spends time with his group of quirky friends. They're interested in the kinds of things that boys beginning puberty tend to be interested in. I'm sure I don't need to go into much detail. I want to talk a bit about the art in the series. Although the character designs are definitely well drawn, for me it's the world in which they live where the mangaka's talent begins to shine. The cityscapes and night skies in the manga are really stunning, and the detail that his art goes into allows the world to feel very real. This doesn't mean that the drawings of the characters are unimpressive though. Each character is well designed and feels unique in their design, and they age well as the series progresses through the time frame of about a decade. Rather than being a series which relies on some great storyline to carry the narrative, the characters are the strength of this series. Each character is flawed, there's no perfect hero, no dastardly villain, just people. Some with dreams and aims, some who make pretty poor decisions, just like real life. The story isn't sugar-coated, it deals with the rawness and struggles of growing up, which are omitted from lots of other series. Punpun deals with the breakdown of relationships, alcoholism, abuse, violent crime, regret, and the struggle of generally being dissatisfied with life. Punpun goes from a child who has dreams of discovering his own planet and living there with his family, but as an adult he falls further and further away from that optimistic, imaginative child he once was, and he becomes more jaded. Punpun can sometimes be hard to root for in this story. He makes some really bad choices, but as an audience we stick with him and wait to see what will happen next. During the story, we see how the things going on in Punpun's life lead to him making these poor decisions, and how many of these result in things getting worse. This is a story about becoming an adult in the real world. The story also spends time looking at how other characters are coping as they make important changes in their lives. My favourite character in this story isn't actually Punpun, but his uncle, and I found the chapters focused on Punpun's uncle to be the most powerful for me. To round this up, this is a manga about real life. Yes, it's the real life of somebody living in a very complex and difficult context, but not something which would be unbelievable or found in a fantasy novel. This isn't a series where the main character can put all of the blame on an evil mastermind, or go off on a training arc and come back with a broken new set of powers to solve his problems. This is a series about somebody who could really be alive in our society today. Before deciding to pick up this series, I really think it's a good idea to reflect and ask yourself whether you're prepared to dive into Punpun's world. This series is really heavy and deals with difficult subjects such as mental health, sex and violence. For someone who themselves is struggling, this could be a really painful experience, and it would be best that they hold off until later. But if you're prepared and you want to read it, you won't regret it. I hope that I've sparked some interest for you in Goodnight Punpun if you've not read it yet. If you have read it, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on the series as well. Please tell me if you enjoy this kind of review style video. I've not done one like this before, but if it's something that you like to see, please tell me and I'll try to do some more in the future. But until then, please subscribe and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye guys.